Hello everybody and welcome to Polynomials. It is the lovely world of polynomials. And what we're going to do today is just hear all of the names, classifications, ordering. I mean, it is a polynomial world. And I just want to take a look at the word polynomial and just break it down, break it down for you so you know what's the basic the deal with this word. Well, from the Latin origin poly, meaning many. I know all my language people out there might be correcting me because no real major idea if poly means many or more than one, which I would probably have a problem with, but whatever, you get the deal. It's not one, it's many, and so it's poly. It's poly. Think of words with poly. Poly. Good. Gone. How about poly? Poly want a cracker? Polly want a cracker. Right there. That's a good one. Polly want a cracker? No, I don't eat crackers. Don't like them. Too many carbs. All right, anyway. Poly meaning many. A polycycle. That's a bicycle, but with many wheels. It's a polycycle. It's not a unicycle. It's not a tricycle. It's a polycycle. Go there for a minute in your mind if you dare. And so let's take a look. Let's just think about how many ways can you really have poly. So what is it? Poly, I never even said it. Poly, many what? Well, if poly means many, then nomials mean nomials. So in the case of polynomials, we have many nomials. And so let me just show you. Of course we have many nomials. Doesn't everybody? Who has a better job than me? I don't know. Let's look at some many nomials. So here's the deal. We're talking algebra, right? So let me just give you an expression, help you out. X. Let me give you another one. X plus 5. Let me throw another one, maybe saucify it up a little bit. How about 2x minus 3? I can do better than that. Hang on. Wait for it. How about 5x squared minus 2x plus 4? Like it? Looks good to me. How about how about 6 y, I don't have to use an x, 6y cubed minus 2y squared plus 5y to the 5th and minus 2. Okay, these are nomials in a sense. These are algebraic expressions. They're beautiful and they're polynomials. And so now a polynomial, when I think of a polynomial, I think of more than one, and nomial in my mind is a term. And so you might ask yourself, well, what in math, what's a term? Well, a term is pretty much identified by anything and everything that is separated by a plus or minus sign. So for example, how many terms do you see there? Well, there is no plus or minus sign, so it's not really being separated from anything. So there's one term. How about this one? I'm going to change colors so it doesn't get too complicated here. How many? Well, here's here, and there's that. So how many terms? This one has 2. All right, let's skip one. Let's go over to here. This one. How many terms? This one, right? There's a minus. That one. That one. Okay, there's 4 things being separated by pluses and minuses. So that would be how many? Good. 3 terms. Now, my math minds out there are asking themselves, I'm sure, Mrs. Caruso, what if there had been an X there? even though there are technically two terms, can't I combine them and make them into one? Oh, yes, you can, my math-minded friend. And if you can, you must. If you can, you must before you decide how many terms you have. In this case, had there been an x, this would have been 5x squared plus 2x. Simplified, and then, my dear one, be two terms, wouldn't there? Yeah. And so, absolutely, that's why we learned how to simplify before we started talking about these beautiful polynomial terms. Let me go upward. Oh, maybe I should fix that, because technically, right, that wasn't an x. All right, now, what I want to do is count these terms. How many? That's right, two terms. And let's go down to this bottom one. Ooh, usually I don't circle, I do this. 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Okay, so I know you're wondering, is this going to get any harder? Yeah, no, not really, honestly. It's counting. So you see how to figure out how many terms a polynomial has, right? Good. Let's go to the next page. So once you can do that, let me just give you a new problem. Let's say 3x squared plus 4x minus 2x plus 8. How many terms first? I'm going to be quiet. You count. How many terms? 1, 2, 3. What did I do there? Were you going to say 4? Were you going to say 4? It's not 4, you silly goose. 4x and 2x. They're like terms. This is almost exactly like the one I just did with you. You gotta simplify before you count them. You gotta simplify before you count them. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. See? Technically, there's really only 1, 2, 3 terms. Tres termos right there. Tres. Or as they say in Spanish, tres. Or as they say in Italian, trace. Okay. So, 3 terms. Now, you were asking, is this going to get any harder? Well, technically, just a little bit, just a tiny bit, because 3 terms doesn't sound saucy enough. We actually have words for 3 terms. So, a 3-term polynomial is called what do you think? Think of your Latin origins. I'm going to do a shout out. I'm going to do a shout out right now to A, D. Now, I don't like to say names because I'm on YouTube and there's the World Wide Web out there and they're all listening and I don't want anybody stalking you, AD. But I am going to do a shout out to you because you're a big fan of the, may I have the origin of the word? So, may I have the origin of the word? AD. This is a shout out to you. Origin. I'm going Latin. Latin origined word that means 3. Think about it. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll wait. Do, 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 do. Time's up. And what did you get? That's exactly right. Try. Try as in tricycle. Tricycle. I love to ride my tricycle. So if this is a polynomial with 3 terms, guess what we call it? We don't call it a polynomial. We call it a trinomial. And that's its word, trinomial. So a 3-termed polynomial is a trinomial. AD, you rock. You rock. Okay, so this is what we've got. We've got polynomials. Man, that's a long word to have to write. We have polynomials, and the way you identify how many terms is you count them, right? Then you got to go one step further, and you have to know how to, call them or, classify them based on the number of terms they have. One term, you're called a blank nomial. I'm leaving it blank because I want you to think about the origins of words and the Latin bases and the prefixes and all that integration with the language arts. 2 terms. Blank nomial. Now, you're already going to rock 3 terms because you already know the answer. 3 terms, nomial. 4 plus terms, okay. So now, let's fill in the blank of the one that we already know. We already know that the 3 term is called the trinomial. What is, think of it, think of your prefixes that mean the number that you see here, and let's fill it in. So 1 term is, do you know it? Monomial. 2 terms is binomial. 3 terms is trinomial. And 4 plus terms, we just go to poly. I've heard people say things like quadrinomial and quintinomial. No, just call it a poly, for heaven's sakes. After 3, it's a poly. Okay, so we have polynomials. 1 term mono, 2 terms binomial, 3 terms trinomial, 4 plus polynomial. Let's test it. Let's just test it out. I'm not going to try and trick you because I've got to hurry up here. 2x plus 4. What kind of a polynomial is it? Good job. It's a binomial. Let's try 3y squared. What kind of a polynomial is it? Absolutely, it's a monomial. Let's do 2. Oh, no, I'm not trying to trick you. It's an expression. Granted, it doesn't have a variable, but it could. I could say, x to the 0. That would be the same as not writing it at all, right? So, how many terms? It's got 1 term. It's got 1 term. It's a monomial. Absolutely. Everybody can be classified. Now, let's go with, let's try 1/2 x squared y cubed. How many terms? Oh, be careful. You'll want to separate these, don't you? Yes, you do. You want to separate them because we just got through our exponent lesson. But please remember, we only separated those because we were trying to multiply like bases and do stuff like that. The rule for polynomial classification is very straightforward. A term is identified when it is separated by a plus or a minus sign, and these are not. This is 1 term. This is a monomial. As big as it looks, it's a monomial. All right, I'm going to give you another one. X plus y plus z. What is it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Trinomial. Absolutely. And let me give you one last one. X squared minus 4. What's that? A binomial. All right. The only one I didn't give you was a polynomial. So take a look at all of these, and which would be the easiest one to be turned into one that I would have to say poly because I didn't have a special word for it. I'm thinking this one. I don't think there was any right answer here, but how about if I just add plus 2? I want to make sure I give you things that are not simplifiable. I didn't want to give you 2x because then you could combine it, with that one if that had been a 2x, and I didn't want it because I wanted 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, and in that case it would just be a polynomial. Can't do any better than that. That's the end of this lesson, guys. I hope you have a better understanding and intuition of your classification of polynomials based on the number of terms that they have. There's more. There's going to be another video on how to classify polynomials based on their powers or based on their exponents. More to come. Catch you on the flip side.